Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to the continuing part of this SOB Jade Body Devkit tutorial. We're just going to follow up from what we did last week in the previous tutorial. So in the previous tutorial, what we did was we made this dress entirely in Blender, down to the texturing, the pattern making, and the weight painting and everything. So all what this next tutorial will focus on is adding physics to our already rigged clothing items. They don't even need to be rigged yet because you'll actually need to make new weights. So here's how we're going to do that. Let's come back into matcap and then let's put this back on material. All right, so provided that you have the clothing or accessory item you want to add your physics to, all you need to do are the following steps. All right, so you're going to open the BPSK Maker add-on that we looked at how to install in the previous part. So the next thing that you are going to do is, with the dress item you want selected, you're going to click on transfer weights. Just verify that this is set to this full body physics weight source. All right, so this is our physics weight source, so make sure it's set to that. Then you're going to click transfer weights with the dress or clothing item or accessory item selected. Okay, make sure it's the only thing selected. So you transfer the weights. Then now what's happened is the physics weights are transferred. So what you want to do is have a preview of what the physics weights will look like. So from the previous tutorial, we had this armature, but assuming you're doing this from scratch, which you should be if your plan initially is to make directly for the physics version and not the default version, you're just going to add a modifier, armature. And now instead of this one that we used in the previous tutorial, we're going to use the shapes armature, okay? And then we're going to come into weight paint. And now we're going to scroll up to tool. So remember the settings we checked in the previous tutorial. For the sake of this tutorial, we're going to have auto normalize checked, multi-paint checked, and we're also going to make sure that in our weight paint overlays menu that 0 weights is set to active, and then show wire is checked so that we have our interface looking like this. Then we're going to see what the weights look like. Okay, so I'm going to select this bone, but before I do that, I'm going to select these spherical bones. They are bones. Then I'm going to press Control Tab to put them in pose mode. Then I am going to select my dress again. And now you can see that all the bones are selected, but I'm going to press Alt A, all right, to deselect them. Then I will click on just the avatar's right pec bone. Then I'll press G, then Y to move it forward so I can see the results. So the results aren't that bad, but you would agree that they can be smoother, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our blur tool. Let's push this to the side. I'm going to click on our blur tool and then we're going to blur the edges. All right. So you carefully blur the edges until it's all smooth. If the blur is too strong for you, you can hold Shift plus F to reduce the strength. But for me, the 1 strength is just fine. Okay, so once you think you've gotten a decent enough result, you can press Alt plus G to return this bone to its default position. You can also press S to scale it to see what it will look like when scaled. All right, so press S to scale, still smooth it out. So you can now press Alt plus S to undo the scaling. Then you're going to do the same for the other pec bone. So we first did G, then Y, then we blurred. Alt G. Then now we're going to press S to scale. Then we blur again, just to make sure it looks good both ways. Then we press Alt plus S to undo the scaling. So now you want to select both of them at the same time to check this area, okay? That this area looks good when they are both active at the same time. So with this one selected, I'm going to shift, then right click or left click depending on how you set up your blender. Then I'm going to press S to scale both of them. All right, so they look good when scaled together. Then I'll now press Alt plus S. Then now I'm going to press G, then Y. So even while moved together. All right, so you can see we have a bit of a bump here. How I can fix that is with both of them selected, we can blur. All right, you can blur so that the two of them are blurring simultaneously. And that area has been fixed. Let's also press S again. All right, so now it looks okay. We can then press Alt plus G, then Alt plus S to undo the scaling. Now you might be curious if we can rotate. No, for the shapes physics, we do not rotate. Rotation isn't supported in the shapes physics. Just location, that's your G. And then scaling, that is your S. Now let's do the same thing for the glute bones, okay? So I'm going to select this glute bone, then I'm going to press G. Then right now, normally if you are doing like a pair of shorts or something more form-fitting, this will be a lot easier, but we are working with the dress. Doesn't matter, irrespective. All you just need to do is with the bone selected and your GY out, just need to blur. All right, so as you're blurring, just make sure that nothing clips. Once something clips, you just need to undo it. Make sure that it's all smooth. And now I press Alt G, then now I press S to scale to see what it will look like when scaled. And if you would like to have a preview of what it will look like with the body, here's what you need to do. You're going to come to your outliner. Then you are going to enable this, then disable this. So you can see this is the shapes body and then this is the regular body. So we want to have our previews done with this one. So now when I scale, you saw the former time when we scaled, it didn't do anything. Or when we scale and we move now, the body moves as well in response. So when you're working for the shapes physics, make sure that the shapes body is enabled. So let's come back to our physics weight painting. So let's keep blurring this until it looks good enough. This does look fine. So Alt S, Alt G. Let's do for the second glute bone. So we're going to first come with G, then Y. And then we blur. Not too much around that area. All right. Alt G, then S. Now we're going to scale to see how it looks when we scale it. So you can keep blurring around the edges to make sure that it looks proper. Do that. When it clips, just undo. So now let's scale the two of them together, and then G, then Y. Let's see, so we can do like a boundary blur. Now let's test them individually again, G, then Y. All right. Then U, G, then Y. Okay. So we have our physics weight setup. And these are the only bones that concern you at this moment to manually blur and smooth out when you're doing the physics weight painting, okay? Just make sure that you're doing this with the auto normalize and multi-paint checked. Good, so let's press Ctrl plus Tab to come back into object mode. We're going to go down to our BPSK Maker add-on. And now, so what have we done? We've transferred the weights and then we've smoothed out the weights. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to bake the shapes, okay? Because we're not going to import our mesh into IMVU with the weights the way they are. No, we need to convert those weights into shape keys so that IMVU can support them. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down. Now, by default, these last sets of bones should be selected, but if they are not, please make sure that 1, 2, 3, 4, LF pec, RT pec, LF glute, RT glute are checked. Then you're going to click Make Shape Keys. What that is going to do is it's going to convert your pec and glute transformations, both on the scaling and the translation focal points, to shape keys. Then you're going to delete both armatures, and then you're going to delete vertex groups, okay? And once you've done both this and this, to test if it has worked properly, you're going to select the shapes bones again, Control Tab, and then when you press S, it should still work. You press G, it should still work. So that's how to test. Let's test that all baked properly. All right, so that's how you know that the making of the shape keys worked, because it works independent of the armatures now, okay? So all that's left for us to do is for us to transfer weights like we would normally. So the shapes body has the default weights. It also uses the shapes method for simulating the physics. So you can't transfer weights from this body. So all you need to do is you're going to select first your shape body, shift select the dress. I'm going to press Ctrl plus Tab. Then I'm going to click weight paint. And then I'm going to come to weights, then transfer weights. Then nearest face interpolated is the vertex mapping that I am going to select. Then for my source layer selection, I'm going to select by name. Then, as we did in the previous tutorial, I'm going to press Alt-A to deselect everything. Then I'm going to press A again to select everything. Then now I'm going to come to weights again. Then I'm going to come to smooth. I am going to select the subset as all groups. And then I'm going to give it like a 4. I think we did 4. And then all I need to do is come back and deselect this. Then last thing I'm doing is I am going to come to limit total. And I am done. All I need to do now is add my armature modifier. Now this time you are adding the real avatar armature, okay, not the avatar armature shapes. You're only using this when you are making your physics weights, the way we were just now when we were blurring out the physics weights. So to make the regular weights that we'll need for IMVU, you use the avatar armature. And now you can come back to object mode. You can select this armature, put it in pose mode with Ctrl plus Tab, select the bone, and now you can rotate and test your weights. See if they look good enough for you. All right, move the leg back and forth. Okay, so now our dress is rigged. So now what we can do is we can export our mesh. So how do we export our mesh to IMVU? We're going to select first the dress. Then you're going to shift select the armature. Doesn't matter if it's in pose mode or object mode. But make sure when you are selecting the armature, you do not mistakenly click this one. Okay, because it's not going to work. You make sure that you're going to select the main avatar armature. Then you're going to come to File, Export, and then FBX. All right, so now remember in the previous tutorial, we want to make sure that we're limiting it to selected objects. Then the animation, we want to uncheck animation for this tutorial. Then we want to also uncheck under armature, we want to also uncheck add leaf bones, all right? Then we're going to call this tutorial dress shapes. And then we export our FBX. So now all that's left for us is to import it into IMVU. All right, so remember we talked about the product chart, so we can open up the product chart to see the product ID that we need. All right, so the second page of our guide is where the product chart is. So this time what we need is the shapes body. So remember in the previous tutorial, we used the default body, but now you can see we need the shapes body, which is the shapes physics compatible version of the Jade body. So I am going to just copy this ID, then I'll come back to IMVU Studio. So now that I am in IMVU Studio, I'm going to paste this. And then when I click on PID, it's going to change to the product. All right, so now I'm going to click on derive. All right, so we're going to import the FBX now. But before we do, let's quickly add our mcg.jpg opacity. Then we're going to import the FBX. So, all right, with the tutorial dress shapes FBX. We're going to click Setup FBX. Then we're going to click 5, all right, because this is a dress. Then we're going to uncheck this and then next. Yes, so you can see all our textures are still here because of how we set them up the last time. So next, no animation, review and import. Okay. So let's make our materials double-sided. Good, so now, how then do we test that this actually works the way we want for it to work? What we're going to do now is we're going to export a test scalar from Blender with our BPSK maker add-on. So let's come back to Blender. So now in Blender, what we're going to do is, with the dress selected, let's do a test scaling with these bones. So I'm going to press Ctrl plus Tab. Then I'm going to select these two, and I'm going to press period to make sure that this is on individual origins. Then I'm going to press S to scale the both of them. And then let's do the same for the back, S as well. So now I want my dress to effectively look like this. So how? I'm then going to scroll down on my BPSK maker panel. Then I will click on export, and then I'll export shapes pose. With the dress selected, I'm going to click export shapes pose, and this is going to export an XPF file. So the same folder where your Blender file is. So let's come back to IMVU Studio. All right, so now I'm going to come to action. Then I'm going to click on the plus. I'm going to call this blink. Then I am going to come to avatar. Then I'll click plus. I'll change the asset to morph animation. Then I'm going to select morph animation. Then now click add new XPF. All right, so once you click that, in the exact same folder, you should see a new file, SOB Jade Devkit _ dress _ shapes. All right, so then now I click on apply. Then now when I click preview, you now see the effect of the scaling. So this is how you test if what you've done is correct. And that, therefore, is just how to easily go about making your physics-based items for the SOB Jade body. It also works for other bodies that use the BPSK maker setup, all right? So thank you for watching this tutorial. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments, and also be sure to leave a like if you found this tutorial helpful. Thank you once again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.